Hey everybody, I'm Russo, and I do a little work here and there. It looks like we're back in the research workshop after another extended break, during which I rearranged my calendar. Don't blame me, it's something that needs done occasionally. But you can't complain because it means this new format for the research workshop today, we're talking about cards. But I suppose you could already see that. This is just a selection from a couple of card games. 1, the Versus system, and 2, obviously, Magic the Gathering. And these are just a basic example, just to see what sort of information might be on these cards, and to sort of guess how they might be compartmentalized, or, just to see what kind of cards there are. So, the Versus system, we got some good stuff. Dupe World, that is a location. And then Dupe, which is a character. Then another character of comparable strength, apparently. Superman, the big blue Boy Scout character. Again, character. We have a utility belt, which is equipment. And then the sort of outlier here, which is a plot twist. Sort of goes with the theme of the rest of the Versus system. But yeah, it is what it is. Of course, there are other types of cards there, or variations of those cards. And the information that is on the cards, while very standard, is something we can go over in a minute. First, we'll look at another card game system, Magic the Gathering. See if you can guess what this deck was about. Again, this is not all the types of cards, but we'll just see what sorts of cards we got here. Jace, Memory Adept, Planeswalker. And they're just like creatures with their own little set of rules. Then we have a creature, Jace's Phantasm. An enchantment, Jace's Erasure. Erasure, Jace. Anyway. A sorcery, Mind Sculpt. An instant, Rewind. A basic land, and a less basic land. Here, a Reliquary Tower. And you can see it's a lot of the same. You've got characters, which in this case are either creatures or planeswalkers. You've got your different kinds of spells, your enchantments, sorceries, instants, that sort of thing, which I would say are akin to the plot twist. And then the lands, which are like the locations. Also, there are artifacts, none of which are pictured here, and some of those are equipment. So it's the same basic stuff, and really if you look at a creature and a character, say Dupe and the Phantasm, you can see that it's basically all the same information, and it's almost in all of the same places. And, speaking of all that information, I think it's interesting to note that most of it is just around the edges of the card. Of course, all of these cards have very large pictures on the front, and I guess it's sort of a standard format. You got a big picture and you got a big text box. And, Magic the Gathering basic lands use that to great effect. But, yeah, like I was saying, you got the edges, and where else are you supposed to put information? So really we need something custom. Yeah, custom. Because in most cases this is not the sort of information that we're really going to want to put on a card, or that is, I guess I should say that here at Russo Works, that is not the sort of project that we're really interested in, and that is on two fronts. So, 1, I've got enough card games. I don't really want any more card games, and it's mostly because they're all basically the same, and there's only so much that you can do with a game where all you have is cards. But, like I said, I've got a lot of games that have cards, some of them just with cards, much to my chagrin, but I have made things for some of those games, and this is sort of the vein of what we do here. See, this is a box for a Magic the Gathering Fat Pack, I think they're called, but inside of the box is not Magic the Gathering at all. It is the second set of expansions for Android Netrunner the card game. And this Fat Pack is not the best solution for this because at least these first 2 expansions came in these little cardboard boxes, and when you put the top on, the top sits on those cardboard tabs that are sticking out, and it tends to bend them. Who knows, they might bend on their own, but I'd hate to think that Magic the Gathering is responsible. So where is the first expansion, you ask? Answer, it's behind all this blue painter's tape. Scotch blue. Scotch blue, Scotch blue, Scotch blue, Scotch blue with edge lock, number 2093 EL. And yeah, the plan originally was to put some sort of shelf liner on this, but I never found anything that I liked. I didn't think the box would look good in marble, but you never know. I might still do that and just spray paint it black. But yeah, this is something that I did forever ago. I need to update the design before I actually make a legit video about it, but yeah, there's just some magnets in there. It's foam core. Eventually I'll make it cardstock, but yeah, tape hinge in the back, not too sophisticated, and some magnets in the foam core. So it just pops shut, and interesting side detail, I think. But yeah, it still has a few problems, but at least the top isn't pushing down. But little mechanical things like this is what we do. Very nice. Very satisfying. And you see, that's sort of why we're on this right now, because I'm making that roll top box and I need stuff to put in it. And I figure I made these card boxes before, so we're going to make some cards to go in this box. But they're going to be, special cards, because it's a special box. I mean, it's got that planetary gear set latch thing going on, and it's going to have a roll top, so the stuff inside the box might as well be functional as well. But, we're going to make cards. We need stuff to put on the cards. And maybe you've been watching the channel, maybe you haven't. But for us, that generally means role-playing games. Things like Fallout and Fallout 2. But not Fallout 4, because, not an RPG. But these two, it's this sort of thing, where the original Fallout has an option to save your character statistics as a text file, and character statistics are something that, change. So as an alternative to something like this, the Dungeons & Dragons character sheet, we're going to try to have some character cards, I guess. But we're going to have to think about how exactly we're going to switch out the information on the cards, because there are a lot of options. I mean, just looking at my past projects, we've got things like this disc life counter, which is just cardstock and a brass brad on the inside. And, that might be a good option with some, gear teeth or something on that back part. I don't know. It could be pretty good, but it would probably take up a lot of space. So there's also the thought of the reconfigurable tile that I came up with, but this is sort of too difficult to take apart and put back together, especially if you're going to need to change the numbers more frequently than not. And I would assume there's also a minimum thickness to this. We want these to be more of cards and less of big chunky block things. So that's probably out. So right now I'm thinking that my best option is probably to have what amounts to little planks that just slide in from the side, and I'm dealing with numbers, so if everything goes according to plan, I can, make an effort to have those things wet erase compatible, and then in whatever case these things are stored in, you won't need too many of those little plank bits that slide in. You'll just need some storage for markers, and I guess some spit in your mouth if you don't mind spit. Oh, and on the topic of storage, that is something where I would like there to be some sort of box in a box in a box situation. So this is something else that I made a while back, and it never progressed far enough to show off before now. It used to be a case for contact lenses, but I gutted the inside and stuck some gross hockey tape to it, and now it'll open up and you can roll the backs around and it'll close the other way. There's no way to keep this particular model closed, that's why I didn't show it off before now. But I'm thinking maybe some boxes in this vein, and they will slide into little compartments in the roll top box, and then the cards will go in there. And if I make them a little bit larger than this, or find some short markers, then I think it'll work out all right. So yeah, I suppose you could say that is the plan. So the calendar's moved around, and that's because I've come up with a couple of different designs, and next week we're going to have 2 separate ready wards to build and test both of those designs, and then maybe posit where we might make some improvements, or just whatever. So hey, look forward to that. I think it's about time for me to get back to Illustrator. So until next time, this has been the Research Workshop with Rousseau Works, and I'm Rousseau, out.